So yeah, I would not have imagined that this was cinematography from a guy with that particular background.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's a fairly transgressive film for Disney Channel original movies, so maybe it makes sense.
Oh yeah, this film's way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not really, but
I was gonna say it's. We'll get into it. Let's actually start the episode first. As you know, I don't know how to start the podcast. It'll either be that or something along the lines of "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name is Ben Holt. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a film that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, continuing DCOM May, a whole May long of Disney Channel original movies. We've got Motocrossed, back-to-back sports films, but this one very different than Brink in a lot of ways. And to walk us through it, Anthony's here. Hey, how's it going, Anthony?
Ben, are you wearing Tommy Girl?
So I mentioned a few weeks ago when we did Superbad that there's some line readings from movies that are completely stuck in my head from that movie, Superbad. But there's one from this movie, and it's the way that the main character enunciates Tommy Girl.
Yeah,
like
Tom E.
it's just weird. It's like they've never seen the word before. I don't think it's just weird.
Yeah, she doesn't even say, "Are you wearing?" I threw that in there. She says, "Tommy Girl?" Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My sister wears it, but it smells better on you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good line. It's kind of, but you know, it's girl to girl, so she doesn't have confidence issues like the main dude does.
Right.
We'll get into all that. Anthony, have you seen anything good recently?
Yeah, I want to tell you about my Dune 2 experience.
Please do.
No, that was good. I like what we did there. No, I saw it in theaters. I didn't get to see it in IMAX like you recommended, but I went. There was just these two people talking the whole time, and I almost stabbed them.
Chalamet and Zendaya.
No, not that. Two people in the audience.
Oh no! Sorry, I'm being stupid today. Go ahead.
So it was so annoying. The whole movie was basically ruined. I thought the movie was phenomenal. I thought it was just as good as the first one, if not better. But like when people are talking in movies, it was so annoying. And then I'm sitting there, you know, I got a popcorn, I got a soda, I splurged.
Yeah.
And I was at a Lux Cinema, right? So I already overpaid. It was $61 total.
Oh my God.
I made a mistake.
Oh no. Is that the one in Dedham?
The Lux seat. Yeah. A mouse runs out of the corner of my eye. I see something dart across the floor. There, it's a mouse. So I couldn't. It was like an uncomfortable experience. The whole film.
Yeah, but the desert mouse is wise. So
that's true. I thought it was very on point. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? It wasn't even moving through the theater. It was moving in sort of these weird, like, take two steps, then a half circle, and it would rotate around again. I was like, oh, I get you. I see you, mouse.
Yeah. You got to walk without rhythm and you want to draft a worm, like Fatboy Slim said. That sucks so bad. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's all right. It's all right. 0 for 2 on that one.
I know there's a thing that's been part of, I guess, the larger cultural conversation about film. So we're really movie going to theaters, that since the pandemic, the etiquette has just completely eroded. I fortunately haven't seen too many instances of this myself. I think when I went to see the newest Mission Impossible in the IMAX, there were people who were like doing weird noises the whole time. But since it was in the IMAX, it's so loud that it didn't really matter. Yeah. But that seems pretty bad. I don't know why you would go, like, especially to a Lux theater. I know some of the seats aren't that much, but like, Jesus, why would you spend money to do that?
They were in the Lux section. And I'm not just saying like a couple whispers here and there, full blown conversations. Like the girls watching TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And me and my girlfriend were like, this is, they eventually left the movie, like with like 30 minutes left in it.
Sure, yeah. The perfect time to leave.
30 minutes. Yeah, exactly.
My God, that just
it was frustrating.
So yeah, sorry that happened. I have no patience for that shit. Yeah. It's like, man, we're all paying money to be here. Like, what are you doing? Just go hang out in the fucking mall.
Right. And I was like itching to see it too, because I saw Dune 1 on Amazon Prime. And like I really want to see it in theaters, so
the good thing
it
is it's
happens.
the I'm sure with the Lux theaters the projection is probably at least really good. So you got that.
Yeah.
The
No,
visuals were hopefully on point.
yeah, no, the whole film was phenomenal. Elvis was great in it.
Yeah, that guy I mentioned before on the podcast, but I absolutely love that he decided his into that character was doing a Stellan Skarsgård impression. I
Yeah.
eternally grateful that he made that choice.
But I didn't I was looking at him like, who is that? I'm like, oh, it's Elvis.
Yeah. And just to clarify, Austin Butler, because Jacob Elordi played Elvis and Priscilla more recently, and he's
Oh,
also
sure.
blowing
Yeah,
up
yeah.
right now. So
Yeah. Have you watched the cultural phenomenon that is Baby Reindeer?
I have no context for what that is, so I guess not.
It's a show. It's not a movie, but it's a show on Netflix about first time screenwriter and actor. He writes about it's basically about his life. He was being stalked by this woman. She sent him 41,000 emails, like 350 hours of voicemail messages. So he turned it into a Netflix like mini show. It's excellent, and they're 30-minute episodes. You can watch them real quick.
That's
Doesn't take
good.
up too much time. But it's like it's a turn into this cultural phenomenon because then they go on the interwebs and they try to find out who the stalker is. Then they find her. In real life, she almost is. Whoever the casting for that is perfect. It's like spot on. But now she's having like her 30 minutes of fame. She's back in the spotlight. She's saying that she's going to sue Netflix, like this whole thing now.
Oh wow.
She's going to sue the author. It didn't really happen that way. Yada yada yada. But I mean, you can obviously tell that she's not okay. You know what I mean? So now it's just a bigger issue than it probably should have been. But it's a great show nonetheless.
Yeah, it's always interesting the rip from the headline stuff, and who gets to tell the stories is always an interesting sort of, I guess, ethical or moral quandary. But
Yeah.
that sounds interesting. Speaking of Netflix, they had a couple big things this week: the Tom Brady roast, and then the ongoing John Mulaney late night experiment thing that they did live over the course of the last 6 business days as we're recording.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed them all.
Yep.
I missed them all. I meant to watch them, and I had it, but then they didn't come on until like 10 p.m. And by then I was like asleep.
Because they were in LA. Yeah, no, same thing happened to me. I watched last night when a friend told me that John Carpenter was on and being interviewed, and I was like, he's never game for random fun shit like this. So he's a curmudgeon. He does like giving interviews, but it's not normally on live TV. On like a fairly prominent thing. So yeah, that was fun. John Carpenter, who I'm contractually obligated to mention once every 3 episodes at longest. You and I just did Escape from New York pretty recently. The episode last night was on the future of LA, and so Mulaney asked him a couple questions indirectly about Escape from New York, because he was talking about the future of LA, and he made a post-apocalyptic LA movie, Escape from LA.
Right.
But he doesn't like talking about his movies, so you didn't ask him that much about movies.
I wish I would. I'll go back and check them out because I think they're there on Netflix, right? It's not just one and done.
Oh yeah, they'll be there.
I did watch the Letterman special with him. I thought that was excellent and pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. And then did you watch the Tom Brady roast? It was like, I didn't realize it was like 3 hours long. I haven't dove in yet, but obviously local news here is covering every segment of it like it's real breaking news.
Yeah, that's a weird one to me. I watched like maybe 25 minutes of it. I thought some parts were pretty funny, but the parts that I saw were really good. I thought, and I saw some highlights. I think Jeff Ross is just a legend, and I thought Kevin Hart was a great host. But I don't really care about Tom Brady because I'm not a Patriots fan, and right. I don't does anybody care about Tom Brady outside of New England? I don't know. I'm sure some people probably do, but.
They're Netflix banking on it because the people involved, I have to imagine that was a pretty expensive production.
Yeah, it was way too long, 3 hours too long. And some of the pictures, Tom Brady just looks completely bizarre. He had this weird smile on his face. It looked like his face wasn't even real.
Human by the minute. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's very strange. What he's just becoming more, I don't know, sharper. Like his face has angles that faces aren't supposed to have anymore. When you're approaching 50 years old, especially. I mean,
No, I
yeah,
think it's not just that. He's a weird guy.
he's a
Weird
weird
guy.
guy. He's been a weird guy for a long time. He remains a weird
Have
guy,
you ever
but I
seen
think
that
he got paid
show?
a lot. So,
Yeah, well, I guess money does that to people, but
or
you ever see that show on Netflix with Paul Rudd where he basically he goes into like the spa and it's like sort of a thriller, but not really. It's like a thriller comedy.
I
And then
don't
they're
think I
just like
have.
killing people, but they recreate like a better version of you. But and they throw out the sort of like the sort of reject bodies. They just bury them in this big field. Tom Brady has a brief cameo in that, and it's pretty funny because he's basically insinuating, oh, I just threw away the old body and got a new one. And it's Paul Rudd. It's pretty good, but
Oh
to me,
wow.
when I look at Tom Brady, it's almost like he's real life living that scene that he's in.
Living with Yourself is the Paul Rudd show.
Yeah,
Let's talk about motocross. This one's weird.
yeah. It reminded me of the early 2000s and me playing a bunch of Excite Bike on Nintendo when I was like 6 years old.
Absolutely. This is like Brink last week, which was from 98. This from 2001, still trying to capitalize on the extreme sports craze that was gripping the culture
Yeah,
in the extremely early thousands. This one about motocross. And I mentioned last week that when we do this, I'll say, Travis Pastrana got a TV show and remains a famous person because of how into this stuff people were in 2001.
that's right. I forgot about Travis Pastrana and all that motocross stuff, and not just that, but the like you said, the X Games and all the extreme sports and Matt Hoffman and
Oh, sure.
all the Tony Hawk and what's his face, Sean White, the Flying Tomato. It's all the same genre,
Yeah.
right?
Remains a very famous person.
Yeah.
This, much like last week, the director of this one, not his first Disney Channel original movie, he also did Johnny Tsunami, Stepsister from Planet Weird, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. Was that one DCOM? I don't remember if it was or not, but I remember it was a thing. Yeah, I think that was a DCOM. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah, no,
they
that's
have their
what
in-house
makes it
guys.
what makes it decom because my recommendation was to do the Paper Brigade, and you said it's not decom. So I don't, but I
Yeah, I had
never
to
looked
shut it
up what
down.
the difference is.
So starting in 97 or 98, they switched naming conventions from, I think it was like Disney Channel premiere film, which Paper Brigade was, I believe, the second to last one of, to Disney Channel original movie. And we're keeping it to that, not so much because there's any stylistic difference, but because it became shorthand for a very specific generational touchstone.
I gotcha. Okay.
These movies are like stuff that appear always on the, synonymous with me with the same style of rose tinted nostalgia glasses of like a BuzzFeed listicle, only 90s kids understand headline thing.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah. So this just speaks to that moment in time, both from the extreme sports craze and then also these things being a big deal and just being, this is just this director alone already his fourth Disney Channel original movie, and it's only 3 or 4 years after they even started making Disney Channel original movies. They just got churned out, I think, one a month for years, and were like a whole thing. And it being on the Disney Channel feels like a streaming sort of strategy before streaming existed.
Yeah, no, I feel like they were. It was once a month, right? They would come up with a new
I
one,
think
but they all
so.
follow the same formula. You basically just
Yes.
recycle the same script. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this one I feel like has more cultural penetration, at least in those rose tinted nostalgia glasses, because of the title. Not it wouldn't be called that today. Let's say.
Yeah. That's true.
And just the sort of weird gender dynamics. I had forgotten that there is no specific rule that she can't participate in these races, like gender wise. It's just that her dad is, let's say, very old school and thinks 15-year-old girls should be doing cheerleading and going shopping.
Yeah.
And
girls, like the mother says, girls don't race motocross. At least not with boys.
And there's a weird amount of respect for his opinion that girls shouldn't do this. That is just sort of taken as accepted. Like I keep, and it's an adaptation of Twelfth Night, much like we've done She's the Man, the Amanda Bynes soccer version of this too.
Yeah.
But that is more over the top comedically, I guess, and has more of like a teen movie through line, whereas this is just weirdly strict about the rules about who could participate for no real reason, because the people involved in the competition don't really care that much.
But it also tries to hit the pull on the heartstrings about, girls can do anything, and I guess that's how they're trying to prove that point and tell that story. Just found a weird premise to do it, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. It's, I mean, certainly not the first time a Shakespeare movie has been sort of adapted for this kind of thing. In fact, we've done movies, multiple Shakespeare's adapted into teen movies before. Between, I already mentioned She's the Man. You and I have done Clueless. I had another one in my head and then it was gone. So 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
All from within this like 4 or 5 year span where these were really hot, and Disney Channel got in on that craze too. So it's capitalizing on a bunch of trends in youth culture at the time. I hadn't even considered that one before coming into this. So there you go.
I mean, it's definitely a cultural touchstone because I watched it with my girlfriend and she said that she watched this movie probably once a day as a middle schooler. So,
she should have been on then. Always welcome, by the way.
I try to get her on, but she says no.
This is going to shock you, but yes, they did indeed get paid for all the product placement, the Vans, the Suzuki, No Fear, the Fox Racing shirts. James Cameron would be proud. A niche reference, but as a way of explaining it, James Cameron to this day does most of his interviews in a Fox Racing long sleeve shirt for some reason.
He's seen Motocrossed and he's trying to relive it.
I think more than anything else, that logo on a shirt puts me in this exact time period. Because holy shit, it was everywhere.
That was it. Yeah. Yep.
We haven't done a 1 minute plot summary yet because I feel like we've just been doing contextual cultural moment stuff, which I think is valuable too. But
I could do the 1 minute plot summary, but I do want to mention that they were only missing one product placement, and that was an ice cold Corona.
There you go. I feel like Sobe would have made sense too for a drink for these kids because that shit was hot when I was in middle school. Also,
oh yeah, I forgot about the Sobeys. We'd drink those by the glass bottle.
Yeah, God, just ruining landfills probably forever. Those middle schoolers weren't recycling those glass bottles properly.
I'm surprised that they let us. It was the 90s, so who cared, right?
Who cares?
My parents let us drink that. The Sobe energy drink, we just get lit on that stuff.
Yeah. And it's only a few years before Four Loko killed a bunch of college students. So
right.
It's all part of the same continuum. Anyway, you want to give us a 1 minute plot summary?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. Andy is training under his family's racing outfit, Carson Racing, to become a world-class champion rider. Andy and his sister, Andrea, decide to race each other one day while their parents are away, and Andy goes through a fence and nearly breaks his leg. Oh no, who's going to race now? In a callback to She's the Man, Andrea becomes Andy to race in the Phil Rollins Cup. Andrea sets out to prove girls can race just as good as a bunch of guys. Little bro Jason squeals to Dawson's mom, and Andrea has found out girls don't race motorcycles. But mom lets Andrea ride as Andy, and she stinks up the track. Dean Talon, the top rider, becomes friends with Andrea to help him impress the ladies, specifically Art Henderson's daughter. Dean and Andrea strike up a friendship as Dean trains Andrea up, but Dean is in love with, I think, what's her name? Farron? Pops Carson comes back to rain on Andrea's parade with some stupid French rider, Pepe Le Pew. Pepe turns out to be a real skunk, and Pop sees Andrea value as a motocross racer. Andrea races for Andy in the last race against Pepe in an intense rockin' race. Pepe eats dirt, and Andrea wins. Andrea slash Andy are found out, but thankfully Andy is short for Andrea, proving that girls can race. And she and the Carson team win the famous Phil Collins Cup and the sponsorship. And then Andrea and Dean race off into the sunset. The end.
Watching this for the first time in a while, I did have the thought that does Talladega Nights steal the Sacha Baron Cohen character arc from this movie? Kind of whole cloth.
I thought the same exact thing. I'm like, there's no way Sacha Baron Cohen watched motocross and this is his version of that character, 100%.
Yeah, in motocross, the French guy coming in to join the team, ending up being a rival of the main character, only happens in like the last 20 minutes, as opposed to being sort of the main, pretty much one of the main plot elements of Talladega Nights. But it is really similar.
It's on the nose.
It is. It really is. And that not just in reference to French people's large noses. I actually think the main character in this has a lot of weird stuff that she has to do and say. The actor Alana Austin, seemingly retired since about 2006, but pretty good in this movie. I think as far as like Disney kid actors go, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't had didn't have a bigger career.
I think a lot of these people just sort of like, you get burned out if you start so early in your life doing acting, and then you're just kind of like, I'm going to go be a normal person.
She was supposed to appear in an unproduced movie based on Monster Jam, which would have been a sequel to Motocrossed, but I guess Disney canceled it.
Her second to last movie, the Aaron Carter starring Pop Star, which I've never seen, but I bet's really bad, and I kind of want to watch it from a curiosity standpoint.
Yeah.
She's second in it. Her name's above the title, so if you want to be an Alana Austin completionist, you gotta get into Pop Star, I guess.
Is that a Disney film?
No, that's a real direct to home video movie. It's Aaron Carter's only lead role in a feature film. So
yeah,
I mean, there's some good trivia for your next trivia night. Honestly, if a trivia host asks you that question, then go somewhere else, because that's not fair. Anyway, I was saying that as a way to transition into last week. The only notes I took were the lyrics to Come On Brink. This week, the only notes I took was Alana Austin playing a 15-year-old, despite the fact that she's probably like a full, college graduate in real life. She doesn't look like she's 15 in this movie.
No, but she doesn't look like she's 35 either.
No. She plays it. It's fine. It would be weird if she was 15, considering what she has to do.
Right.
In this movie. That's another detail I'm assuming from the source material that they felt weirdly beholden to and didn't adapt. Like, why can't she be a high school senior and be 18? I feel like that would be maybe better, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, how normal 15-year-olds spoke in 2001. The only notes I took is this line: "Here I am reveling in this epic in-sync moment when our entire family unit is crumbling beneath us." And when I say I feel like she did a good job with the material she had, I mean, a lot of the writing is complete dog shit, and I think she carries it off pretty well.
Yeah, you think so? I thought the writing was pretty good.
Not all of it is dog shit, but I think a lot of it is like that, where it's like, here's this person who is not 15, you're asking them to play a 15-year-old, and then you're giving them lines like that. I just feel like the deck's kind of stacked against her.
That's true. That's true. And with such a demanding father, he's basically Bill Belichick screaming, "No days off. We're going to ride today, we're going to ride tomorrow, and don't you dare jump on that motorcycle.
You're going to kill your brother." So how does he get injured? And it doesn't make any sense that she's blamed for it, because he seems to be going in a straight line and then absolutely eats shit over a bank turn and doesn't seem to have attempted to turn.
He drives through the fence.
Yeah, he drives through a fence. He, much like the random guy who gets introduced just to be murdered in Brink, like a second later on a half pipe failure. This kid straight up should be more injured than he is.
He didn't even break his leg. He just sprained his knee.
Yeah. He's walking around. He's good. Later that day, he gets released from the hospital. Now, that's a full body cast.
Yeah, he's fine. I feel like he's a soccer player. He's hyping it up.
And by 2001, I was trying to put myself in a headspace of like, okay, I know I didn't have a cell phone in 2001. I think I got my first cell phone in 2002. But cell phones existed. Even if you're overseas in Europe, that guy should have been reachable within 2 weeks.
Right.
It shouldn't have been that difficult to get a message to their dad.
It's because he wasn't actually looking for motocross riders. He was with his secret European family, and he didn't want to be contacted.
I think so. It's a huge plot line for the first 2/3 of this movie that they can't get in contact with the dad.
Yeah. Where's Dad? We don't know. He's somewhere in Paris.
This massive motocross competition that is covered by ESPN, much like the final race in Brink is covered by ESPN. Because I don't know if you know this, Disney owns ESPN.
They didn't, not at this time, or did they?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. It's the ownership changes, and I know in our current timeline, Disney's selling ABC also. But anyway, I'm assuming they're at least engaged at this point because ESPN keeps showing up to cover these children's competitions.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Exactly. It just gets moved up 2 weeks, seemingly a couple days before the start of this televised on national cable event.
Well, only in the Southeast.
Just move it up 2 weeks. Fair enough.
Or no, Southwest. I forget what the mother says. She says either South. You're the best in the Southeast or the Southwest or something like that.
It's real ESPN 8 the Ocho energy.
Yeah. And I feel like a motocross race would be covered by a show like Cold Pizza, a show that nobody watches. Yeah, it's always on.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of stuff that does strain credulity, even though it's 2001. They randomly move up this, again, well-established event, just 2 weeks out of hand. It actually starts in 2 days now. We can't let the dad know because he's in, I guess, France. And yeah, France has ways to get in contact with people.
Apparently not.
If you're somebody who, maybe if he's on vacation, that's one thing, but he's not. He's working. He's on the job. He should have a business line. This guy's whole life is racing. He should have a way to get, for people in the country where he is supposedly on the job trying to find somebody to participate in an event in a different country, that country should be able to contact you within a few days at most.
I like how the race gets moved up via hard copy letter also.
Again, there's somebody who maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they went to France to train. And they're not checking, they don't have somebody house sitting and checking their snail mail. It's just
like no phone call. I mean, I know email's pretty early on in 2001, but still, we're going to send everybody in this race a hard copy letter saying that the race has moved up 2 weeks at an undisclosed location.
Fortunately, the Carson family lives driving distance from where the race is happening. From there. Suburban desert farmhouse where they are able to set up a full motocross track in the backyard. I don't know. I in their defense, I do think a lot of California just sort of looks like that.
Yeah, it's got to be California, yeah.
And in Disney's defense, I'm sure they just already owned that property in California.
Exactly, right. No, they had to move the race up because Phil Collins was on tour that week, so they had to move it up 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. And another great, youth culture synergy time capsule thing is multiple plot points revolve around an NSYNC concert. This.
Oh, yeah.
First it's Andy comparing her elation at getting the NSYNC tickets because, you had to order tickets in the mail in 2001.
Right, yeah. She got them.
And then later on, when that's the way that Dean and Farron get together, is because she's a materialistic loser who just wants to go to an NSYNC concert. Just normal teen stuff. I do think at this time, NSYNC is doing stadium tours. It is a big deal.
Oh, 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
I think at this point, NSYNC surpassed Backstreet Boys.
This is that time period where they take the crown.
They
And
sort of, yeah, exactly.
I saw NSYNC at the old Foxborough Stadium, the predecessor to Gillette. So yeah, can attest they were playing stadiums. It was a big deal.
You saw them at that time?
Yeah.
What year was that?
I think it had to be pretty close to the end of the old Foxborough Stadium, right? Because
that's got to be right around the same time frame, 2000, 2001. Yeah, I think the new stadium came in 03, right?
Yes, as we all know, CGMI Field, I think, is what it was before it was Gillette, the new place. And then the .com bubble burst and CGMI ceased to be a business, and then Gillette bought the naming rights.
Yeah. Did you have to sit on those metal? I remember they had the metal benches, not even seats, just a long aluminum benches.
I'm trying to remember specifics. I was pretty young. I would have been at most like 10 years old. So I don't remember I feel like we had actual chairs, but it could just be that it was metal benches. And at the time, my brain didn't think to, index that as a weird thing, because that's just that was normal at the time.
Yeah, because I've never seen a Patriots game there, but I've seen some Revs games at the old Foxborough Stadium.
I saw the two big things I saw there were an NSYNC concert and some group stage matches in the Women's World Cup, the 99 one that the U.S. went on to win with Brandon Chastain's sports bra.
Yep. Well, keeping it local.
Please do.
When Dean is eating his dinner there in the mall, I'm looking at him like, was this filmed in the Swansea Mall? It's like, it looks exactly like the Swansea Mall food court. The same pastel colors and the fake plants.
That was just the look at the time. I guess when those exact malls were built, they're going like, let's go for like a Miami Vice kind of vibe.
Yeah. I was like, wait, I've seen this place before.
You're right, yeah, like concrete mixed with like pink and teal.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
Our main colors for all the malls around us, and that mall where Dean's pouting, for sure. Dean is a solid dude. He helps Andy out a lot.
Great guy. I give. Sometimes when we do these movies, there's a unlikable male. He's not the lead, but like sort of what is he? Would be a counterpart.
The foil.
The foil, yep. But
Val
Dean
and Brick,
Dean is a very likable guy, not unlikable.
Yeah, the main villain in the movie is misogyny, and a last minute foil is the French guy who comes in is just immediately. I mean, you referred to him as Pepe Le Pew. He's going full stereotype because he's only got really like 5 minutes of screen time. But again, in my memory, he looms much larger because he is like the final boss, kind of.
Right.
Because he's, Andy's dad becomes a normal, reasonable human before the climax of the film. So
right. Yeah. Right.
The emotional climax has already happened. The race is all gravy. It's nice that she wins and gets a sponsorship from it is a fun twist that you think they've been saying Bob as the name of the factory owner that's going to like give out the sponsorship, but they were saying Barb the whole time and it's a woman.
Yeah. Yep.
I forgot that happened until right before it happened, because then another line reading that sticks in my head is the way that one scene cameo lady delivers the "you think we'd let her sign for anywhere else" kind of thing at the end there. It's good stuff.
We're going to give her full sponsorship and Team Carson.
Yeah. Yeah, you should sign the whole team. One thing Sam said about Brink last week is when the X-Blades guy is like, "Oh, we want to sign you," and Brink's like, "Oh, no, I'd rather stay skating with my friends." It's like, well, they just won like some kind of national title. Surely that guy would want to sign everyone on the team.
Right.
And Barb is no fool. She does want to sign everyone on the team, because why not?
Yeah. Yeah. She knows talent when she sees it.
And Dean, to his credit, like you said, he's like a solid dude. He gets over that stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah. He's like, you lied to me.
Thing. Yeah.
I told you things.
Yeah.
But then again, but the love of his life is actually Andrea, so he gets over it pretty quick.
And I think it's boy Andy that's like, yeah, she's, or maybe it's prime Andy that is like, I wasn't doing it to trick you. I was doing it to help my family. And it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
So that's a good reason.
You can't be mad at her. You can't really be mad at him.
No. We went pretty high level plot detail there. I think that's fine. But is there any other like particular stuff you want to call out? Oh, here's something. The little brother that it's being set up again. No reason that people don't want him to help. He's clearly good at being motorbike mechanic, but it's just like, yeah, we hate this guy because he's got that little brother attitude. He's not even going like full little brother energy. He really just wants to help.
He's my favorite character in the whole movie.
He's got, you mentioned that this movie, before we started recording, that this movie, he's got some good one-liners. I think he has a good amount of them.
Yeah. And nobody, they just kind of, the mother's like, oh, Jason disappeared again. Even the dad is like, not, he's hard on the older brother. He's hard on the daughter, but he's kind of like, this is my third son. Nobody cares. Whatever, do whatever you want. You want to be a mechanic at 8 years old? Sure. Skip school. Work on engines. No problem.
The parenting style in so many ways for him does have real like third child energy where he's like, they don't, he's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. He delivers,
he has the best sort of brief monologue in the film when the mother's mad at Andrea for pretending to be Andy and cutting her hair and whatever. But then he comes in, sitting at the dinner table. He goes, Mom, we're learning about women's rights in school. And women can do anything. My teacher said that women can have any job, they can do any job that they want these days, something along those lines. I was like, yeah, you go, Jason, you tell him.
Yeah, he goes full freshman year women's studies minor honor, and she can't argue with that.
Yeah. Then she's like, oh crap, this is what my mom did to me when I was a young girl, so I can't do the same thing to my daughter.
When I first started the rewatch this time, I was thinking that this spoke to either lazy writing or more likely lazy parenting. But I think it actually is smart writing because it does speak to a sort of casualness with which they're approaching the parenting of Jason. That they clearly had a plan. Their eldest is Andrew. They call him Andy. Their second born is Andrea. They call her Andy. Then the third one is Jason.
He was an accident.
Yeah, they didn't. There's a strong evidence for lack of planning in a lot of ways with Jason.
Yeah,
and I was like, these parents are just. It's a half-ass situation. They just did not commit to the bit. Like Andre was still an option, but no,
that's true. Yeah,
but in hindsight, now that we're talking about it, I like it. Yeah, he's just going to be floating around doing whatever he wants. And the parents are not going to get that involved. And I think
the comedic relief.
It's all of a piece. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's good.
And he's good. He serves his purpose. But there is, I think that there are some good one-liners when, she's upset about losing the first couple races. And then her mom's like, oh, you're doing so great, honey. And she's like, I came to win, Mom. Or when Dean looks at her about Farron when she's trying to convince him that Farron's kind of a jerk, not worth his time, and he's like, "Are you whacked?" And then another line is, "We're a big hugging family." One of the more stupid lines was Cartier. That name sounds really familiar. I laughed at that. I thought that was funny.
Yes, that is where another place where I think the writing, maybe this is me projecting, or maybe it is more clever than, I realized 20 minutes ago I said most of it was dog shit, but I guess I'm going back on that as we're talking more about it. Where that is like a self-awareness of calling out the fact that, the writer is maybe like, I got to put in something there just so the audience knows I know that this is a Disney movie and it is probably stupid.
Yes, yeah. I kind of like that. I kind of like that obvious.
Yeah, and I do think the Cartier line is that, like this guy, they might as well have named him Pepe Le Pew. Like he's going so broad.
Yeah, he's Jacques Cartier. Yeah,
Jacques Cartier, exactly. They don't make enough advantage or sorry, they don't take enough advantage of the body doubling stuff. Maybe it would have gotten old, but it's really only with Jimmy Bottles in the bike shop
Yeah.
in the town, in down in the city, whatever random city that the mom keeps having to say, oh, we got to go to the city today.
Yeah. We load up the caravan, kids. We're taking the ox and the horse to the city.
Yeah. And the Jimmy Bottles sequence where they're doing different stuff like Scooby-Doo style, going through different doorways, and the guy can't track who's asking for what, and they're giving him different asks. It's good. They should have done more of that.
Yeah, that's a great scene. That's probably one of the better scenes in the film. And he's like, I got to check my prescription. He says, dude, what is it with this disappearing crutch trick?
And then that guy's just sort of he's the archetypal children's movie stoner character.
Yeah,
where he's just kind of spacey, and they don't necessarily ever establish why.
He could be in Clerks. He could be in the movie Clerks as just the stoner dude that's always going to work at the dirt bike shop.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of product placement, it's rampant in that scene, but it's a store. Yeah. It makes sense. I would also note that is one of the few instances of a scene that's strictly for comedy. This being based on 12th Night almost doesn't occur to me because I don't really think of this movie as a comedy as much, you know? It's definitely more, there's more straight drama happening. There's some like funny stuff, and like you said, there's a lot of good lines. But it doesn't strike me that this is primarily a comedy, aside from a scene like that in isolation.
Yeah, no, I think that, well, I agree with you on that. The comedy is, it's a girl dressing up like a man.
Well, maybe I mean, yeah. That's fair.
Which is like obviously early 2000s. I think that's what they were trying to go for. Like, haha, this is funny. But I mean, then again, today it's probably not. That's why it's not that funny. Right.
Yeah. That you're totally right. That's, you bring, wherever you go, there you are. And the lens I'm bringing to this is that's not in and of itself a setup and a punchline in 2024.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But even back to
it should be goofier, I guess, is my note.
It should be. There should be more stuff like Jimmy Bottles.
What's happening is I am comparing it to She's the Man, which is a straight comedy that still has that. It's not only a straight comedy; it also has a stronger teen movie romance plot with Amanda Bynes and Channing Tatum. Yeah, it has both of those.
To me, this movie is more like Ladybugs, where the comedy plot point to that is, we're going to make this boy pretend he's a girl to be better so we can win at soccer. So it's like the same premise that's supposed to be funny, but if you really think about it, it's really not that funny.
Yes, I think that's extremely fair. And I'd also say one note for improvement: instant comedy, do what Amanda Bynes does and She's the Man, and for no reason affect a Southern drawl kind of half of your lines.
Yeah. Well, she tries. Elena Austin tries with that sort of like kind of bro. Hey man.
Yeah. She blokes it up,
bro type of
I appreciate.
Yeah. But I feel like going back to your NSYNC references, right? Dean and Andrea, they have the same haircut. And it really takes me back to that 2000 spiked hair, very NSYNC look. And then when he comes out of the elevator, right, when they're setting that up with the NSYNC tickets, he's got the black turtleneck and the leather pants.
He's
the sixth member. He's the sixth member of NSYNC.
It's full. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that on every album cover there isn't at least one guy wearing that, right? Of any boy band, never mind NSYNC.
Disney's like, I forgot the actor's name, and I know he's been in a bunch of other things, but as a bit actor. But I mean, like this guy, this is our next teenage Disney heartthrob. We're really going to sell this. Get the black turtleneck out. Yeah, and I feel like unlike a lot of Disney Channel original movies, and definitely the other ones we're going to cover this month, I don't feel like the people in the cast of this one have as much crossover necessarily. They don't. Yeah, I don't think you ever see him again.
Two other DCOMs.
Are they in them?
I'm trying to figure that out. I don't think, not really. I lost the page I was looking at is the problem.
Because like
not really.
I think of like Ryan Merriman, and he's around.
Yes. Yeah. And he's considered, when they do like the nostalgia stuff on BuzzFeed or whatever, like he's one of the guys they always interview. I feel like he's maybe the face of who people want to talk to when they do like oral histories of whatever. One thing is, I'm looking at the cast list here. Travis Pastrana is in this movie. I maybe was second screening it, and he's credited as writer too. But I'm assuming in one of the scenes where she's like lining up to register and has like a couple lines with another rider, that one of them must be Travis Pastrana, and the other one is Jeremy McGrath, also a prominent racer.
Oh yeah, I didn't pick that up, but I the funny thing is, I don't really know what these guys look like. I only know them from posters of them doing tricks on dirt bikes.
Right. Well, part of it is the helmet, right? They talk about the helmet stuff a lot in this one, which makes sense.
Yep.
As far as I can tell, on my extremely cursory searching while trying to not completely go silent, I don't believe they appear in any other ones.
But Riley Smith, he's in a bunch of TVs, and he's in some other movies. Yeah, nothing really anything good, but
he's in
24 True Blood. Yeah,
he was in Freaks and Geeks apparently, but I don't remember him in Freaks and Geeks.
But if you look at it, he's not in a lot of episodes. 24, he's only in 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So not really the crossover potential that Disney thought he would have.
No, not really. He's in New York Minute, so we'll get to that when we do Mary-Kate and Ashley month.
He's in True Detective, the first one.
All right.
What did you think about some of the action, like the actual racing in this?
I think it's actually pretty well filmed. It's pretty legible, which is all you're looking for, is like you can follow what's happening. The first race where Andy gets lapped, I think is it's like a good starting point. You can see like when Dean talks to them about, I bet you're the best guy at your local track, but everyone here's the best guy at your local track. Oh yeah, it makes sense that they make a couple sort of rookie mistakes and they end up getting lapped. It's not like, oh, they're terrible and then they're great a few days later. It's more just like a confidence and a couple, tips and tricks that they have to pick up, which I feel like plays pretty well for them to get that much better over the course of this, like seemingly a couple weeks.
I also thought I don't remember which race it was, but one of the later races, they show these two riders fall. One guy takes a huge, falls pretty hard, like face plants into the dirt. I'm like, that had to have, that one looked like it hurt to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Human man had to do that. It wasn't, it wasn't a reality thing, but it's still a stunt. So there's pretty good stunts in this,
I thought the racing scenes were like pretty good action scenes filmed for a Disney film.
They get a lot of mileage out of slow motion shots of people in the air. Which always works. And it actually works for a good dramatic moment when, especially in the final race where it's, neck and neck and they're both in the air at the same time. And the French guy like looks over his shoulder while in midair. I think it's a good moment. Yeah.
And the mom gives the tip, like, watch the turn.
Yeah.
Because he's going to bump him,
Yeah. There's like zero way in hell they can hear anyone who's saying anything while they're on those bikes. But hey, oh well.
Oh, she has the sign. She doesn't say it. She has the sign.
Oh, right. Yeah. You know what? I take it back again. Might have been doing something on my other screen while I was watching this one.
But she does say a lot as they're riding by, like, you go, girl. And then to which Andy has to say, Mom, keep the you go girls to a minimum.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. I'll allow that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny, for a middle school kid, that's a funny joke.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So let's get to some final thoughts. On a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing, what would you give 2001's Steve Boyum directed Disney Channel original movie Motocrossed?
This is going to be too cliche, but I'm going to give this film 3.5 Fox racing symbols out of 5.
Oh man, James Cameron would be in heaven. This movie came out in February, which feels like the wrong month. This feels very summery to me, but
Yeah,
whatever.
it's a summer blockbuster for sure.
For sure. For me, I will go with 3 French stereotypes out of 5.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun times. So I'm trying to remember the movie through line question that I asked last month. And last week, I honestly can't remember what it was. Yeah, no, my mind's gone completely blank. It was something about Disney, I think. Well, okay, so let's do it like this. You already mentioned Paper Brigade, but like, what other ones did you have on repeat, or maybe just really liked around this time? Late '90s, early thousands. Anything in heavy rotation for you?
Yeah, I think Paper Brigade is the gold standard because you're to bring it back to John Carpenter. Your buddy's in it. Oh no, wait. Freddy Krueger, not John Carpenter. Never mind.
Still, though, I mean, like he's become pretty much any weird old guy, so it works.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, he plays a deranged sort of like military vet that what's his name has to cross his yard to deliver the papers, and he outsmarts him at the end. It's a great film.
I remember liking Paper Brigade. I do remember liking Paper Brigade, and maybe I'll revisit that as part of this, as part of my extracurricular.
A close second for me would be I really enjoyed Xenon Girl in 21st Century. And I feel like that I have that song just stuck in my head for the rest of my life.
The Protozoa song?
Supernova Girl? Yeah.
God, yeah.
I will never forget that. It's just ingrained in my brain. I've probably seen that movie 24 times.
Yeah. I think Brink we did last week. I think we're going to... The ones I'm trying to prioritize for the rest of the month are Xenon and Smart House. We'll see what happens. The tough part, but I think it's important to stick to, is finding people who haven't seen these movies before.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Motocross, I don't...
These are the two big sports ones, I think, that we've done. Brink and Motocrossed. So.
Well, there's also... I mean, there's a bunch of them. There's Miracle on Lane 2.
Yeah. I mean, Luck of the Irish is a big one too, but I just think that it's seasonally weird to do a St. Patrick's kind of themed one.
Yeah. Well, you could do that one for a whole host of reasons, like basically incredibly racist towards Irish people.
By 50% my people. So I would be offended.
Just the leprechaun character alone is so funny, but so bad.
It's not ideal. I think all of these movies have issues.
Sure, but I mean, it's not. No, for sure. But I mean, it's also it's 24 years ago. You can't. What are you gonna? I don't know what you're supposed to do about it now. You know.
Well, I was just about to say, on a certain level, anything that is designed as a comedy that's over 20 years old is going to have something that you're like, ugh, about. It just comes with the territory.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, I think Paper Brigade as a premiere film, I'll reach back and check that one out again. Because like I said, I remember liking it, but just some weird scattered details. And
it's not on Disney
across a yard. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
It's not there. So I don't know how Disney classifies. I thought they would have all their material on Disney Plus, but for some reason, Paper Brigade's not there. Maybe some of the earlier ones too are not going to be there either.
Yeah, I wonder. Let me see if I can.
And it was another one where I don't know if this was a Disney movie, but it's a kid who plays pinball. I just don't remember it. The title, I tried looking it up. I can't find it.
Is there a kid who plays pinball in the Tommy movie from The Who?
That might be it.
Maybe. My first thought, this isn't pinball, this is just arcade, but The Wiz is what I thought of. Not The Wiz. What, is it The Wiz? The one with one of the, either Fred or Fred Savage? I think it's Fred Savage. Hold on.
That's the one I'm thinking
The Wizard.
of.
The Wizard.
The Wizard.
Not The Wiz. The Wiz is black people doing Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It just is. Trying to think of a different way to put it. The Wizard, however, is Fred Savage, a young Jenny Lewis,
Christian Slater, Bo Bridges. Slater,
yeah,
this is the movie I'm thinking of.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
It is not a Disney movie.
No. It's Universal, apparently.
Yeah. So never mind. I take that back. My two are Paper Brigade and Xenon.
There you go. I like it. It was a general enough question. This can count too.
Yeah, for sure.
Uncredited Tobey Maguire.
What's your favorites?
Oh my God! Speaking of time capsule, so that is a 1989 movie. And it has multiple Bodines tracks on the soundtrack. Yeah, I would say from the DCOM, Smart House is my main one. So really trying to get that on the docket this time around. We'll see. LeVar Burton directed it. It's really bad. I love it so much.
I remember Smart House, but I remember it just listening to, I'm like, this is Peggy from Love and Marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. I can't wait to get there. Okay, well, yeah. Any other thoughts on Motocrossed or Disney Channel movies in general?
I'm just glad that, do they still do these? No.
I think they discontinued the actual titling, but whatever they do now, I imagine just goes to Disney Plus, and it's sort of like the lines are blurred between movies and TV now because of streaming.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Motocross was for the time, and these monthly Disney movies that they would churn out. I think it hits all the high notes. It's sad. It's both nostalgic. It's great, but it's sad that that part of my childhood is over.
Yeah, it is sad. For its part, yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. No, I was going to change the subject, but you go to your thought first.
According to justwatch.com, which is where I check for where things are on streaming, Paper Brigade is not available anywhere.
Why?
No one else wants to watch it, I guess. I mean, I would watch it.
It's a great film. He learns his lesson. He takes the old lady out who lost her husband to the baseball game.
I always assume there's some kind of weird rights issue where maybe there's a song that they don't want to pay to put this out anywhere. Right.
No, but completely changing the subject. I know you don't like this podcast, but Bill Simmons recently did Running Man. And I'm just, I'm also obligated to mention Arnold Schwarzenegger every time that I'm on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You got to get it in.
I just wanted to give you the heads up that it's being remade with Glenn Powell.
I do like Glenn Powell.
And I think it's going to be awesome.
I'll watch it.
Two Glenn Powell pitches I have for you. The Running Man remake just got confirmed April 2024, and this summer's biggest blockbuster, Twisters. Cannot wait for Twisters. I meant to say that in the beginning, but
that, and then Richard Linklater's upcoming Hitman movie, or The Hitman, whatever it's called.
Yes,
that Glenn Powell's in with. I forget her name, Adria Arjona, or whatever her name is. I liked her a lot in the extremely strange Irma Vep TV show that was on Max a couple years ago, and she's popped up in a couple other places, and apparently she's really good in that movie, as well as Glenn Powell, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, that's a good note to end on. It's hopeful, it's optimistic. And it's about Glenn Powell. And those are the three things I look for in any ending thought. So
that's right. Yep.
You can find yourself on Linktree, linktr.ee/late to the movies. And Anthony, thanks for being on.
See you later, rookie.
Well done.